So again, this formula at the top of the page, expectation, is equal to number of trials times by the probability. This is again key for today's lesson. So question 1 tells you that the spinner has been spun 300 times, and assuming it is fair, how many would we expect on green? Well, there are a total of 5 sections, so we have a 1 in 5 chance of hitting green. It's spun 300 times, so 1/5 times by 300. And that is equal to 60. Part B, the spinner is spun once more. What's the probability of landing on purple? Again, it's an estimated probability. So here we've got 72 which landed on purple out of a total of 300 trials. So therefore our probability is 72 over 300. You can leave that as a fraction or give it as a decimal, 0.24. Part C tells you that we have spun it 1,000 times. So the number of trials is 1,000, and we need to times it by the probability of landing on blue. Well, you can see that there are 45 blues out of the 300 trials. So if we multiply that together, we would get our answer of 150. Question 2 is given a partially filled in table. We know that there are 100 balls in this softball play area. So therefore, our relative frequency for blue must be 0.32 because we divide by 100 to find it, and for red 0.2. So therefore we need to multiply our 0.1 by 100, and that will give us the total frequency of yellow. We can now add our blue, red and yellow together, which gives us a total of 62. Take this away from 100 and we get 38, which gives us our relative frequency of 0.38. One final check, just make sure they add up to 1, and then you know you've definitely got this correct. So now we know we have got 250 balls, so therefore we need to multiply that by the probability of getting a red ball, which is 0.2. Multiply that together and you get your answer of 50. Right, so in our third question, we know that probabilities must sum up or total 1. So therefore, we need to add up the other probabilities in the table. They are all equal to 0.88. Therefore, if we do 1 subtract the 0.88, we would get our missing probability of 0.12. Now we can answer this question. It wants us to estimate the total that it will land on a number 3 or a 4. So the probability of 3 or 4 is equal to 0.12 plus 0.21, which gives us our answer of 0.33. We know our number of trials is 300, times by our probability, and we get our final answer of 99. Our fourth question. So here it tells us that the coin lands on a head 200 times and that the relative frequency of that head is 0.4. So we're going to look at this using a bit of a ratio. We know that the relative frequency 0.4 is equivalent to this 200 times. We want to get to the probability of 1 because that's going to tell us how many times the coin was thrown. Now there's a few different ways of doing it. What I'm going to do is go down to 0.1. So we know that it's 4 times smaller. So if we divide our left hand side by 4, we also divide by our 4 on our right hand side. So that tells me 0.1 chance would be 50 times. Now I can multiply that up by 10 to get our probability of 1. That tells me that it must have been flipped 500 times in total. Our fifth question tells you that the experiment is carried out 400 times. So if we add together our frequencies for void and fail, and then take this away from 400, we would get 244. Now to work out the relative frequency, if we do 60 divided by 400, we would get 0.15, and then 244 divided by 400, we'd get 0.61. We can now use this to work out our expectation. So it wants to carry the trial out another 1,000 times, and the probability of it being void is 0.24. So therefore, we get our answer of 240. Our final question on this topic. So it tells you that the relative frequency of scoring a 1 is 11 over 50. So we know the total frequency is 50. And it wants to know the relative frequency of a 4. Well, we know it's got 9 out of 50. And if we convert that to a decimal, we would get the answer 0.18. Our next question, our number of trials is 3,000. And we times that by the probability of getting a 5, which is 12 over 50. Multiply that together and we get our answer 720. It then says, how many times would you expect to get it on a fair dice? Well, we know on a fair dice there are 6 numbers and you have an equal chance of getting each number. So therefore it'd be 3,000 times 1/6, which is equal to 500.